All right, this is going to be the first installment of something that I call Musins and Perusins. Quick intro for those who don't know. My name is Ace. I am the founder, president, CEO, charismatic and handsome leader of Geek Flag Fly High Incorporated, Ltd, Esquire Limited, LLC. Starting off with a topic that I was actually talking about with some coworkers yesterday, and with regards to being able to dig into more of, more of the deeper underbelly of geekdom, right? One of the things that I always say is my geek flag flies high and I'm proud of it. And there's a difference between being a nerd and being a geek. And I think a geek is more involved, more layered, more complicated, because anyone can geek out about anything. Sports, math, history, anime, sci-fi, whatever, right? The list goes on and on. But it was an offhand comment at work where someone asked if you see a car with a Decepticon sticker, what does that let you know about the person in the car? And I said, without missing a beat, if I see a Decepticon sticker on a car, I can't trust that person. I just can't trust their judgment. Conversely, if I see an Autobot sticker on a car, I at least know that I can trust them about something. I don't know them yet. I'm not just giving blind faith because you happen to like Autobots. But if you are at least aligning yourself with the Autobots enough to put a sticker on your car where everyone can see it, then we align somewhere, is what I'm saying, right? In terms of the deeper layer to this, though, someone then said, well, is that across the board, or are there any characters that you might think differently? And I had to think about that for a second, and that's when I said to myself, well, actually, you know what? Specifically with regards to what we were talking about, there is a character that I'm willing to have a conversation about. I'm willing to have the debate, right? And that's Starscream. So, and here's where I can kind of cross the streams, because I truly am a geek across multiple genres. So with D&D and Transformers, in my mind, Starscream is chaotic neutral, right? It's not that he's a good person at all. He's evil. However, he can be led to do good things. Megatron is just evil straight up. There's just nothing that's going to redeem him, so to speak, right? But Starscream can be led to attack Megatron, but it's for his own good, right? So he'll try and help the Autobots take Megatron down, or he'll stab Megatron in the back in order to take his throne, but then somehow Megatron always finds out or recovers or whatever, comes back, and then Starscream cowers and says, oh, I was just keeping it warm for you. But I think also in that same vein, again, jumping to a different genre, in Star Wars, then we started talking about Darth Maul. And I think that Darth Maul is very similar in that, and here's also where, you've got to, what they showed in the few movies wasn't enough. What they showed in, they hinted at some of this in the Solo TV series, but it still wasn't enough. In some of the books, they obviously went into way more detail, but then still even that alone wasn't enough. In order to get the complete picture of Darth Maul, you have to have read all the books, which admittedly I have not. You have to, see all the movies, see the TV shows, the Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, in order to get a more well-rounded picture of Darth Maul and what his deal is and what makes him tick. And I think the quote-unquote relationship, the dynamic between he and Obi-Wan Kenobi is also one of those where, like, Darth wasn't just evil. He, at the base of it, was, you know, he was doing what he could, the best that he could, right, in order to pull a gambit. He wanted to make a name for himself. Ooh, boy. And be able to, you know, do something for his people. Okay. Now, Palpatine, who, again, like Megatron, just straight evil, irredeemable, right, found that hunger, that ambition, and that anger, and corrupted it. And so, with everything that happened there, then he became a Sith Lord and tried doing it that way. And all the while, there's, you know, this foil of Obi-Wan on the other side. But I think there definitely grew to be, like, a level of respect, not admiration, but definitely respect, between the two. And the final fight between them in Star Wars Rebels, one harkens back to another love of mine, which is Asian culture and the old samurai fights, back in the you know, early dynasties in Japan and all that kind of stuff, where, you know, it wasn't this long drawn out battle, it was one strike, right? And they showcased that, and even, like, Lucas, the whole thing about Star Wars was based off of, you know, like, feudal Japan, space opera, like all of those kinds of dynamics. But the true high level Jedi fighters, you know, the battle was basically one strike. You know, it's that stare down. You're playing mental chess and trying to figure out, okay, I know based off of the angle of your sword, your saber, whatever, you know this style, which means it's going to be highly defensive or offensive, or it's balanced or whatever. And most likely your first strike is going to be this, so I'm going to do that. But then you know my style and you know the same thing, so then you're going to figure out that I'm going to do this, so you're going to do that, so on and so forth. And then finally, one strike, whoever thought far enough ahead with the chess moves and you know, was truly the master, is the one who walks away. And so in that, with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan prevailed, and Darth was finally given release, peace. He was, you know, the anger was gone. But I think that was the very much the precursor and the lead up to Obi-Wan's decision in his fight with Darth Vader. And obviously with his connection being, you know, Anakin Skywalker, his former Padawan, the whole nine. And knowing that, again, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but this is just follow me. Knowing that the only way, or likely the only way that Darth Vader could be redeemed and become Anakin again was for Obi-Wan to lose. So he sacrificed himself, put his saber away, and let Darth Vader cut him down, knowing that it would not lead to what Darth Vader thought it would. You know, again, if we, you know, go back to conversations they've had, that was where he had the high ground, right? He knew, you can kill me, but in the end I'm going to win, because you will be redeemed back to our side. You will be redeemed back to, you know, who you were supposed to be, or, you know, to the best of our ability, whatever. And so it was interesting. Again, Musins and Perusins, I'm going to be doing this on my commute into work on a regular basis. Just thinking about some of those things and the levels of geekdom. I mean, going between Transformers, D&D, Star Wars, and I honestly think the Obi-Wan moment where he put his saber away, not that he could see into the future, but that was analogous to Doctor Strange seeing 14 million and some odd futures and figuring out there was only one, right? There was only one way to have the best outcome overall, and that was for him to die, right? Whether he knew he would be able to be a Force ghost, or whether he just had faith, or whatever that is, right? That was the choice that he made in order to get the best outcome overall. So going through all of those different genres, all of those different setups, right? Like, I'm not ever gonna say that, oh, well, you know, nerds can't do that, right? That's not what this is about, right? This channel is gonna be about community. It's gonna be about getting people to accept and embrace all levels of geekdom, no matter where it might be. You might be a shoe geek. You could be a sports geek. You could be a history geek, right? You know, because we all get excited and get into the minutia and the details, and we all want to geek out. And so what I am hoping to do is to be able to create a channel where we are all able to thoroughly enjoy how we collectively geek out. Okay, I do want feedback from the community. I want to be able to go ahead and hear some of the things that you guys geek out about. Obviously, you know, there's going to be certain anime I'm not in on. There's going to be certain genres of fandom that I'm not in on. I'm not a big horror geek, but I know they're out there. You know, video games. I don't like first-person shooters, but there's a lot of people that do, right? You guys geek out on those, get into the different details for the guns and the tactics and all of that. Like, that's great. I do like Marvel Rivals. I will be streaming Marvel Rivals. I will be streaming some other games that I'm playing. But along with that, though, I do want to hear some of the stuff that you guys geek out about, so that can be topics of future Musins and Perusins. There will be a podcast with you know, talking about some of these different topics. I also want to go ahead and invite a bunch of my friends and people that I know in the geek community for some of the different things that they geek out about. This is very much going to be about showcasing and celebrating the diversity of geekdom as a whole, right? So hopefully you guys have been intrigued by this little snippet. This is just the beginning. And you know, again, feel free to go ahead and tell me your thoughts as well. I don't know what the posting or streaming schedule will be. Again, I'm brand new at this in terms of the whole content creator portion. And I do have a full-time job and a side job, so making this on a regular basis is definitely going to be my goal. But I just need you guys to have some patience and bear with me, right? But I do think that this is going to be a fun journey, and I appreciate you guys who are going to start in on the ground floor, because again, it's only the beginning, and we it's only going up from here. Deuces.